Welcome in. Episode number 24 of the MJ38 show. How's your day going? How's your life going? 24 like Kobe did.
Like Kobe did.
Put in the work. Let's go. The waters are warm. Life is good. What's that? What are you going to say?
What does Kobe mean to you?
Kobe?
Yeah, just because I do like to dedicate the episodes from time to time.
Of course.
I'd love to dedicate this one to Kobe.
Love him.
But just like in general, sometimes I realize there's like a barrier of perception because Kobe means something to me, but it also might mean something different to you.
Oh, yeah.
But what does Kobe Bryant mean to you, Justin?
To me, specifically, well, I think in broader terms, just working hard, that Mamba mentality, getting it done, fierce competitor, fierce competitive nature. That's kind of like generic Kobe, I think. In a sense, that's pretty encompassing.
Yeah, you see like a Kobe Bryant shirt. That's kind of what comes to mind.
Yeah. But then also, to me specifically, though, I love that guy. Because, I guess I was growing up when he was like, when I was in high school, that was when I was like and I was playing basketball in high school. So I was able to really like appreciate basketball, like watching it at a high level. And then it just so happens that my favorite team was the LA Lakers. And during that time of high school basketball, that was when they were like popping off 2007 to 7 to 11. So that 4-year span, they won back-to-back chips. It was amazing. They went to the finals 3 times.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's like your dream. A lot of people are sports fans and their team hasn't won a championship the whole time they've been alive.
Ever.
Yeah. Like
Forever.
When you were in the middle of literally playing the same sport,
Literally the same sport. I could empathize with like the drills. I'm like, I'm sure they run suicides. I'm sure they hate down and backs.
That probably made you practice harder, play better. Mm-hmm. You're watching it be worth it for like your favorite competitor. You're like, oh my gosh, all the work is worth it. Look
From
at
my
him.
city.
Yeah, seriously.
The whole city. So I love that guy. Definitely holds a special place in my heart. And then also even deeper, but also in that same vein, but a little bit on a deeper note, it was like me and my mom, like we're more or less like bonding over that, like watching basketball together.
Yeah.
And cheering for our favorite superhero to win. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like watching movies or whatever, but hoping the good guy wins. And he win, and he did. It was awesome.
That's awesome. That's the thing about sports is I think sometimes the bonding between like the people just watching the sports is what makes the sport so valuable, or your team so valuable, or whatever, you know?
Yeah, having that camaraderie, that unity with a group of people. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome as hell. And it was cool. It's also so tangibly different now because back in high school, that was whenever Kobe was popping off. They were winning, and like the Lakers won recently in the bubble year 2020, right? COVID bubble year.
People forget about that,
right? Yeah, they won like 3 years ago, and we watch the Lakers now. Like whenever we go to Vegas or whenever they're on, like on Christmas or whatever, we'll put the game on. But it's like it's not the same. It's just not the same as whenever Kobe was there.
Yeah,
it's a little different.
Yeah, I feel you.
It's a whole different vibe now, a whole different team. But the idea of having that common rooting for thing. It's like unifies you all.
I've got so many roads to take this. I think Spurs fans can empathize with that to the max because
Spurs fans are
there's like that team. It's like I love the Spurs, but like when they had that team,
when they had that dynasty,
that holds a special place. I feel like you bonded with I don't know. It's just how sports go. You bond with the city, you bond with your friends and family over having that thing to look forward to together.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's cool because Wembanyama, potentially another opportunity to feel that thing with everybody around you.
Bro, have you seen some of his highlights?
Yeah, dude.
He's gas, bro.
He looks like an alien. In the most respectful way.
Looks like someone just made a player on my player, just like put him into the league at point guard at 7'4".
It's insane.
It's exactly what you think would happen.
Lately, I've been tripping over his arm length on the 7'4" gentleman.
He could block anyone
He's
everywhere.
Like 2 of my arms, like it's insane.
Yeah. Each one of his arms is like almost 3-4 feet long.
So he's like for real though. Like imagine
like a tarantula.
Seriously. So if the blocks he gets or the dunks he's able to do, it's just like no one really has seen that. It's like oh my gosh, like get out the way. Like a lot of times you know how to defend something because you've
seen it before.
Yeah, a bunch of times.
Or seen a variation of it.
Yeah, you're doing the Chris Paul spin. I've seen this one. I know where you're going. But like Wembanyama, like people are like get out the way. Like they don't know what to do. It's crazy.
Yeah, he just dunk over anyone. Like he has such a good agility for such a tall person.
That was my next thing. Is I didn't think he was going to be so shifty and like be able to stay in front of people or take someone's dribble and get off in the fast break, but he does.
Yeah, bro.
He does, dude.
He can defend. He can. Yeah, he's crazy, bro. It's awesome. So I'm excited for San Antonio. I'm not a San Antonio Spurs fan, but I'm a San Antonio fan. So I fuck with Pop. I fuck with the city, and I'm excited for the city, bro.
Seriously, yeah. Let's go.
Let's go, sports. We're rooting. We're all in that one.
We're all in that. Bright.
I want to see that guy do crazy shit.
Bright future. We'll pray for his health.
That's the thing. That was one of my, I'm sure, the major concern from everyone with him in regards to like fans, coaching staff, himself personally. He's like, the only thing that can bring me down is an injury. It's the only thing that can stop me. And I guess, well, that's true for virtually every player. Every player kind of has that concern. But then also, like, how fragile are you? It's like, I'm not sure if he considers himself to be fragile. Probably not. Most people, most young men.
Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't think that.
They feel like they're indestructible in your 20s. He's like, yeah, like 20, young 20-year-old, probably has the world is his oyster right here, changing the whole fucking game.
It's crazy because he's like, I don't know how many miles away he is right now, but not that many.
He goes to the same restaurants that we go to.
That's crazy, bro.
Mm-hmm. But how fragile is he? He looks super fragile. He's so skinny.
We don't really know. I guess I imagine that his injury prone ability is higher because his knees.
There's not as much surrounding cushion.
Yeah,
right?
His leg is like so long. So I guess it's like a lot of stuff to hold together on like one little knee. And he's also like more, I guess there's more room for him to be top heavy in my mind. So if someone's like more compact, it's not likely that they're going to just like break in half. And I don't think Wemby's going to break in half. But when you're seeing him like be so shifty, it's like, imagine like a really big building and then the wind starts blowing and then you have like a building that's like the same structure, just not as big. It's like the taller building feels like it's more likely to fall over. And that's what I think about. It's hard to put it into words, but I don't know if he's actually more fragile, but something along those lines.
Yeah, I think that works on like a physics scientific level. If you have like the same fulcrum with like a different length of bar, like it'll take less force to break it.
Right. That's crazy.
Scientifically.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's true.
That's what I see in his knees. And I'm just I hope I'm wrong, but I just one wrong freaking crossover or somebody like they fall into his knee, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know why I don't have that concern with someone like.
It can happen to anybody. It can happen to fucking like what's his name, Steph Curry. You can have anyone
100%.
susceptible to it. LeBron.
But he's a big man, so Stephen Curry is a good example because it's like separate.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. He's a little bit more on the smaller spectrum of an NBA player.
Yeah, I think he's like 6'3".
Yeah, maybe. I think that's generous.
Yeah, okay. See, Steph.
6'3" with shoes on.
And just don't not the same concern for that. Like even just to break your own ankle. You know what I'm saying? It just feels. And I don't. Okay, so coordination is how a lot of great players don't get injured. Is because they're really coordinated.
And balance.
And yes, balance. And also that kind of leads into like if you're gonna have to fall, people that are coordinated and have good balance like know how to fall well, so they don't like fall awkwardly and break something.
Yeah, don't have too much momentum or weight planted on one thing. They're able to like move because most of the time like, if you fall, you just need to like get your leg out of the way. But if you fall and your leg stays there, but your body falls, it's like that's where the shit happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Snapping.
So you'll see really coordinated people. In my opinion, that's how like hyper athletes like Randy Moss doesn't really get injured very much, or Justin Jefferson. I mean, he did just get injured, but when I was thinking about them playing so hard, you get it. They're really coordinated.
I bet athletes who are maybe more prone to do like gymnastics work or like dance work, or like you know what I'm saying, like ballet, like being able to be light on your feet and like know how to fall and know how to contort your body and have control.
Yes.
In like a sophisticated, elegant way. Be elegant. You can be like an elegant brute.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're looking for, right?
That's what I want.
Yeah, that's the juxtaposition that would make you like really lethal at sports. Like good footwork. Yeah. Like that's whatever the ability is to like have the reflex, like see it, send the neurons, and then like do the right footwork so that you don't get trapped or your leg doesn't get stuck. But it's like split second stuff.
Yeah, split seconds.
So he might be hyper coordinated. There are just people that have that skill, and there's people that don't have that skill. It's like, golly, this guy can't stop getting hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro. I don't know. That sucks.
And those people in my mind, it's like when you can't stop getting hurt, it's like part of it is misfortune for sure. But also like you're on the spectrum, those people I think are at higher risk for injury because maybe they don't train their balance, or maybe they're like their back is really tight naturally.
Yeah, flexibility.
But they're not doing flexibility to balance it out. And
Flexibility, mobility, balance. The small tertiary things associated with athleticism.
Yes.
Instead of just speed and strength.
Yeah, because it's
all speed and strength and no finesse.
I think you need the finesse. It helps a lot. Because the brute guys, like, I beat them. Or a lot of times, like, it's just a little finesse, even defensive finesse. Like, someone that is, in my mind, I think, like, kind of like a bull or, like, blockheaded. They're, like, not going to adapt, or they don't have, like, a way to, they're just going to try to run me over every time.
Yeah.
It's like, I've already figured out how to deal with you, like, 10 years ago. It's like, you need to bring something to the door that I've never seen before if you want to get by me with ease, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, a little more nuance.
Yeah.
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 Speaking of injuries, how have you been injured? What are the extent of your injuries?
I am, but I cut off your greet. Do you want to finish greeting the Bobulous? I was just like Kobe episode.
Kobe, we jumped into Kobe.
And then I was like, the Wimbenyama Bridge is happening. Let's go. I'm here.
I'm here for it. But the waters are warm. It is a excellent intro to the episode 24. We're pushing on through here, y'all. We keep on moving, staying in that top 1%, and we ain't stopping. We ain't stopping for nobody. Not even for myself.
I won't do it.
Can't do it. The waters are warm. Hopefully you're getting in there with your workout, your errand running, your driving, you're walking, you're running, whatever you're doing. Get in there. Get in there.
In there.
You know what we mean. You know what we mean.
Lock in.
Come on.
Have a Kobe-like drive to do the thing you're doing in the right now.
Yeah, get there. Get that drive going, bro.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. But so what are some of your injuries that you've sustained in your career?
In my career?
Your life career.
Yeah, for sure. I had a lot of rolled ankles when I was a kid. And then that kind of led me to like overprotecting my ankles sometimes. Like,
what do you mean by that?
So like in soccer when I was a kid, my mom would like make me wear ankle braces just for like games, just like normal games. I would wear ankle braces because in her mind she rolled her ankles a lot when she was a kid, and she was like, more or less like, I have weak ankles, which I probably gave to you.
Sorry.
Yeah. But when you roll your ankle, you're gonna be out for like weeks at a time, which is gonna like fuck up your conditioning, and like you'll be out of the spectrum of like what's happening now. So you lose your.
It's a double negative.
Yeah. Now when you're trying to come back in, people don't really like, you haven't been relied on in a while, and you're out of shape, so you're not going to get minutes to get in shape. And then when you do, you're not going to perform well because you're out of shape. It's a whole problem. So she's like, instead, we're going to wear ankle braces to protect you. But I think what that did is like made me have weak ankles because I wasn't developing
that mentality,
the strength and the balance in my feet.
Too much support and not enough natural. Yeah.
You're supposed to. In my mind, your ankles are supposed to get a little sore. Like you're supposed to get some work in there and like develop like a runner. Like maybe 1 month into running, you're way more likely to sprain your ankle. But if you like go the full 6 months where your ankles take some of that swelling and it goes through the process of letting it go, I think they develop like a strength in their own.
Yeah, it's like a callus.
Yeah, I think and I don't have any science to back that. I just know that there's something to like when you stick to a program and you don't I guess sticking to a program is not what I'm talking about. When you don't over support something, that it prevents its own growth.
Mm-hmm. It's a crutch.
Yes, you can't. Yeah, so exactly. A crutch is not good. Also, the thing that comes to mind is like
if you don't need one,
an Oedipal mother type. Like you don't want to with your child. You don't want to like protect them too much because they won't grow.
Yeah,
and so I think that's what was going on with just some of my body mechanics, because my parents were like really worried about injury, like instead of just kind of letting me like get injured when it happened, more or less. So I ended up breaking my ankles.
Oh, breaking?
Yeah, I broke my left ankle in 8th grade.
Oh,
but I had like minor ankle injuries, like in stuff like that, kind of leading up to that.
Uh-huh.
So then that one kind of fucked me up mentally for like a while, because I was like scared to run full speed, and like
that's another thing when you come back from an injury, that the whole mentality of, oh shit, I'm fragile. Or,
yeah, I need to like protect
I can
myself.
be broken.
Yeah, right. I guess Prior to that, I had broken a finger playing soccer. I like tried to slide tackle someone. It was actually at a birthday party at your house.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. We were playing soccer for like 5 minutes. There was like a bounce house and a bunch of stuff going on, and I just like go in there and slide tackle someone, and
Come
like,
on, baby.
and my finger hits their shin while I'm like going through, and then yeah, it was just broken. So that kind of sucked. But boom, finger, ankle, and that's like in 8th grade, and then in high school I broke 2 of my ribs playing football.
Oh yes, that's Americana, baby.
Yeah, Emilio, who might watch the podcast, just freaking drilled me one time. Just running like this. I'm gonna catch the ball. He was like, "No, you're not." Yeah,
Stick 'em.
Yep. But then I came back 3 weeks later and kept playing football. So it was cool.
Man, that's crazy. Multiple breaks.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever broken anything. I've definitely like dislocated fingers and maybe rolled ankles for sure, as that's very, very common, especially if you're playing basketball or soccer. But I've never broken anything. My appendix did rupture. I never really had like an injury, I guess. Nothing too crazy.
appendix rupturing is a crazy injury.
Yeah, that was just like random.
It's hard to be like, hold on, something's failing in my engine.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, oh, I don't feel good. Yeah, no, something's off. Something's off. I need to sit down for a little bit. And 3 days later, it's like, oh yeah, something was off. Something was really off.
That's crazy, bro. Because yeah, maybe you're just tired, or maybe you're
Maybe
just
I
getting
don't know.
sick.
Some stomach. Anything with the stomach is so up in the air. It
Yeah.
could be anything. You have so much shit going on there.
No, actually, is going on is you need to go to a hospital, and there's a clock on like how long you have to get there.
Tick, 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 tick.
Is it just me? That would be, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of
Mhm.
like a crazy thing that people go through.
Yeah, my appendix ruptured. That was a whole shit. I was in high school. I was like nearing the end of my senior year. That was a whole thing.
Yeah.
I was in the hospital for like probably like 4 or 5 days. That was a bitch. That was a bitch and a half. So and then I guess another crazier thing with that is that the appendix doesn't even really do anything anymore. It's kind of just like not random, but it's kind of like a organ that exists within us that doesn't do much. Or I used to do stuff. I'm pretty sure I used to like process rocks and sticks that we would eat when we were fucking cavemen.
Whoa.
And now we don't eat rocks and sticks anymore, so I'm not sure what it does.
It explodes in you sometimes.
It can kill you. That's what it does. It kills you.
That's crazy. Is that metascience? Like the part of you that you've outgrown can only,
If you hold on to it,
all it can do is hurt you.
only thing it can do is hurt you.
That's metascience for sure.
That's the meta spiritual shit right there. So yeah, I guess that put me in the hospital for a good little bit. I've never broken anything. Praise God. Knock on wood and all that.
Yeah, you ain't fragile. Let's go.
Pulled some stuff, pulled some muscles, small things here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, injuries are a bitch and a half.
I think you
Sickness and injury.
all through high school you were in really good conditioning shape. Like your coach ran you a lot, right?
Yeah, we ran pretty often.
I think that's part of where the injury comes from too, is when you're pushing yourself, like your body's like really fatigued, but you're competing at the high level where you're kind of like pushing yourself in that
Beyond your capabilities,
more
to
or
a degree.
less, yeah. And then I think you're more likely to go up for a rebound, and like subconsciously when you have your like composure and energy and everything, your body kind of knows like where to put your feet to land. But like if you're more tired and you're more just like selling out for it and you go up for the rebound, your body might not have like a plan for where you're coming down. And then I think that's
This is
like
unknown territory.
yeah, so then it becomes like more stopgap thinking where you're just like going for stuff and your body has no like fail safe at all. And then you're just like
Ugh. Break your heart, man. Yeah, my heart goes out to all those people in the NFL, people in the NBA who just keep on getting injured. And also the people who got injured that prevented them from getting to that next level. That's a lot of people's stories.
Yeah. That shit sucks.
Yeah, that's
Like Derrick Rose, bro.
mm-hmm.
His injuries kind of kept him out of the spotlight.
Throw some flowers for him.
He
Throw
was
some flowers for him.
sensational. He won the MVP.
Yeah, he was electric. That man was going crazy, putting on a show.
Yeah, we hate to see that.
Yeah.
So the way I think you avoid that is being in really good shape, really good conditioning, doing footwork stuff, balance stuff.
Mm-hmm. And even you do all you can. I guess it also just depends on what you're doing, but it can happen to anyone, man. And no one's immune to it. Anyone can just catch a slight injury here or there, like Christian McCaffrey or whatever, bro. Any of the superstar NFL athletes or Olympic athletes, like everyone gets injured.
It's true. It's true. You gotta listen to your body too. That's like a real thing.
Yeah. Like your body will tell you.
I have some, like, my ribs hurt right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just cracked cartilage in my ribs because I've like done it before, and I've had those 2 broken ribs before.
Yeah, previously.
So like I can kind of feel like the difference between the pains. And the other thing is, when this happened, like I heard like crack, like I heard like imagine, pop. Yeah, exactly. Like you pop your back, but it's like you're like, oh, I got that one. It was like that.
I got in there.
Yeah. It was like that, but in my ribs. Ooh. And I just knew right away. I was like, damn it. Like it didn't really hurt that bad right away, but I knew like that's gonna be bad. I'm
gonna see that later.
Yeah, for sure. And it was just like the guy was posting up on me from like the elbow pretty much, and I was just like holding my ground. And then when someone bigger than me, like the way someone kind of like will try to like back you down is like in like they'll be like 1 dribble 2, and kind of like back you down like that. And if someone is like, unfortunately, sometimes I'm in a position where this guy like weighs more than me or he's bigger than me, and he probably is likely to back me down, but I can kind of like push back a couple times and make him think like, oh, maybe I shouldn't just.
I'm not gaining any ground here.
Yeah, let me like spin or let me do something else.
I need to try something else.
And so I like kind of collide with him a little bit, and then I see him like, kind of get ready
gather again.
Yeah. And so I'm just like, my form was really good though. Like my legs were really square, good wide base, like just past shoulder length. And I had a really nice like imagine when you're finishing a squat and you kind of like push your chest through that, and my back was really straight, so I came through with my chest like this, and he just freaking right into my ribs. And like
200 plus pounds of this gentleman.
Seriously. And I took it like a squat. So like he hits and I finished up here, even though it was just like crack, 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 crack. Yeah, that did not feel good.
Not cool.
But like I had already known kind of like going into that session that I'd been playing like hyper, I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but like I was exerting maximum energy in every game that I was playing for like maybe a little bit too much time. I was like, if I keep playing this hard, like I'm likely to not get hurt, but I was like, I just think like I need to like pull it back a little bit.
I got my Gatorade cup. My Gatorade cup icon is flashing. I need a breather.
Yeah, there's only so many days I can go aggressively D up one of the best players and be like trying to score like an NBA All-Star. Like that takes. I feel like I was just like not doing too much per se. But I was like, if I don't just like chill in some of these sessions and just like enjoy shooting some threes instead of always like being in the heat of the game, like where all the action's at, taking there was, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
Like fighting for every rebound every time. Like I'm likely to, like someone's gonna get really pissed off at me in one of these games, or like I'm gonna hurt myself, or it just felt like I was in the red.
In the red.
So I gotta get out of the red, and then I was in the red, and then I got this rib injury, and I was like, almost like I knew, you know what I'm saying?
You saw it coming to a degree. You saw the signs.
So I think that's part of injury too, is that your body like talks to you before it happens. I also like I hurt my foot while I was training for a marathon, and I knew like that week that my feet were like aching really bad, and I was like, I should slow down on the training regimen, and I just kept pushing it harder and harder, and then ended up like popping something in my foot that took like months to get over.
Ugh.
But you know.
It's so crazy. Yeah, it's so crazy. Yeah, your body, which is not you, can talk to you, which is not your body.
That's crazy. I think the same thing with the appendix. Like the reason why people's like you sense something's off. You're like, oh, I'm not okay. Like, something
not normal.
Different is going on.
Yeah, it's like when you're driving your car and the check engine light flashes. You're like, oh shit.
Right. That's like something's a different. Off. It's cool. We have that.
Super, super strange. Very weird. Interesting thing we got going on here.
Yeah, I wish we could interview Kobe. Be like, Kobe, did you know could you like sense you should slow down before you like caught the Achilles?
Yeah.
Was there any sense for like, hold on, I'm in the red? You're like, it's like poker. Like sometimes like you ever be like winning a lot, but then in poker that means you're like, if I win it too much, I start to get in the red. It's like, if I don't get out of here, something bad's gonna happen.
Yep.
You know? There's like a sense for that. Like I need to cash out my chips.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to stop playing, or not stop playing, but step away from the table for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. To like slow down the meter of like I think it's like momentum too. If your momentum's like too high for too long, the ship might get like wobbly on you. Sometimes you need to like pull it back and let the ship like stabilize and then get back on the gas.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Life's crazy.
I think we talked about that before in like an early podcast where I mentioned Jordan Peterson says that if you like plan vacations or plan time off, like to take time instead of just working straight through a year, it's like if you plan to take time off, you'll be able to be more efficient over the course of the year. It's like, it's kind of backwards. But yeah, I think your body is kind of the same thing. I think that ideology is somewhat attached to what we're talking about with the injuries and with playing at the blackjack table.
Yeah.
You take some time off. You get out of there.
Yeah, for sure. It's like the sauna too. It's like at some point you need to hop out of the sauna.
Yeah, you can't just sit in there forever.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna die.
And that's a lot of life. It's like it's crazy.
The ebbs and flows, man.
Because you need balance. Because balance is like a cornerstone for like a good life, and that's not me. That's like allegedly. There are places in my life where I'd prefer to live out of balance. I don't know if that makes sense, but then I have to tell myself that's like don't go about it where you want imbalance because I'd like to work out 7 days a week, or I'd like to work out 6 days a week and play basketball 4 of those days. It's like some of that's like out of balance. Like I need more rest.
Yeah.
And then even though it's what I want, I need to tell myself balance is like a keystone. So if I don't have balance here, I'm probably fucking up.
Yeah, you'll pay for it somewhere else.
Exactly. So then you have to like find ways to like apply balance to everything, right? And I think that's why we have ebbs and flows, is because it's quintessential for balance to like have some not, and then have some.
Yeah.
And then have a lot, maybe even. You know what I'm saying?
Have a whole bunch.
And then you gotta, but
not too much.
Right. Too much for too long. It's like, oh, now you got none. Or like
none for a while.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry.
That's this thing we're doing.
Fucking wild, dude. Life is so alive, bro. It's so crazy, dog. It's so alive.
It is, right?
This thing, I don't know. Yeah, you think it's like a thing that you're just placed in, but I think this whole thing is alive. The air, the scene, that feeling you get whenever you're by yourself. You're just like, I'm alive watching me be alive.
That's crazy.
It's trippy.
It's a lot to conceptualize. I think that's why sometimes we're just like want to watch TV, because then it's like delayed conceptualization of that. It's like you're watching a hero do a story where you definitely know it's going to have a dramatic ending. Whereas like when you're just watching yourself be alive, it's like you have to like be a hero, hopefully, or watch yourself be not your hero, which hurts.
Which sucks.
And then you don't know that your life's going to have like a cool crescendoing climactic ending, or you have to have a lot of faith to feel that, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's a leap of faith.
Yeah, there's like anxiety involved in the fact that this is just like life. So I think because it's a lot to conceptualize, we kind of didn't want to like not think about it like that, or like drink or watch TV or like be busy, because yeah, it's just, I feel that way sometimes, like on super mega multivitamins. I'm like, God, this is just a lot to really perceive like all of this information at one time.
Yeah, try to take it all in.
Yeah,
for what it is.
Yeah, it's like I need to chill for a second because it's like overwhelming to a degree. And I get that. Like life is overwhelming.
It is overwhelming
for sure.
We have to cope with that, or we have to like develop like a story or develop something, be able to look at something to just simplify things, because it's so deep. If you let it get so deep, or like the overwhelming complexity of like what life actually is it'll consume you. You'll be just stuck, frozen. So it's like we'll be able to make things irrelevant and not think about them, so we could just keep on keeping on. I guess that's probably, or part of what anxiety is, isn't like just like that overwhelming feeling. There's too much going on, too much to process.
Yeah. I don't know. Anxiety is so weird. Like, I think it's when you're not sure exactly you don't have certainty about what's gonna happen next for you, because there's a lot of things that could do that. Like if in your past you've had things like ripped away from you or dramatically fallen apart, then your subconscious will project that that's likely to happen to things that are going on to you like all the time. So then if you're in something and your subconscious is like, well, might end at any point in time, your brain does, because that goes back to your brain doesn't know what's going to happen next. I think that induces anxiety. And then like we feel the anxiety as people, but it's just in there sometimes. It's not something like you could really talk yourself out of unless you could address the thing like, okay, I know that things have gotten ripped away from us before, but that's not like how life is really goes for everybody all the time.
Yeah, with everything.
I could build like longevity at this place, or this thing could go well, whereas those things went bad. But not everything has to go bad, you know?
Yeah.
And I think once you have those conversations, the anxiety is like it's just in there, and then it kind of goes down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it ever goes away. I think everyone has anxiety, but it's just like their coping mechanisms are better or more well instantiated.
Yeah, or the anxiety is
not as large.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. A little bit smaller.
Yeah.
Because you have better coping mechanisms for like the future and for yourself, and you're like able to
and that hope and faith.
Those things, create like enough of a buffer. So it's like even if things do go bad,
even when it does hit the shit hits the fan,
like I know my brain knows what can happen next. Like I'll rebuild, or I'll do just like I was okay after that thing fell apart. I can be okay like that again if this falls apart. And so, but I think there's times where your brain just like gets overloaded, or it's just like hard to control all the time.
Hell yeah.
And so and then like even me when I'm having anxiety, it's so crazy because I'm like, okay, like you're not nervous, like it's cool,
you're fine.
I can rationalize why we should be fine. Like this is just another day. It's just another day, bro. And you know exactly what you're gonna do, and it's cool. But like it's like the bee sting in my brain. It's like that doesn't make the bee sting go down. It's not like that's not Benadryl. I don't know how to get Benadryl on the bee sting, but then I would like take time to like open up the boxes. It's like, what would be creating this like anxiety inside of me? Like what can I shine a light on here and like address?
Yeah.
So that way,
just look at it.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of times what decreases anxiety is just looking at it.
Big time. Because the more that you're just like under the covers, like the bigger the dragon gets.
Yes.
But if you like look at the dragon, he's like, oh, it's not that big.
Yes.
Sometimes it is, but if you look at it, I think it's definitely going to give you a better chance.
It gets smaller as soon as you look at it to a degree.
Yeah.
Because even if you like can't deal with the problem, just knowing what the problem is takes away some of its power.
Yeah, or maybe like all you see is the shadow, and you're like, oh, that's a huge shadow. But then like you see what it is for the actual thing that it actually is, and you're like, oh, it's not even that big. Like I was afraid of the shadow. The shadow is way scarier than the actual thing.
Yes, bro. That's deep, bro. That's deep as fuck, bro.
We out here, y'all.
That's it. Like you're more afraid of what your mind, the negative consequence that your imagination has projected is not the negative consequence in reality that you'll have to deal with. Like this thing is way more powerful over your emotional systems.
Yes.
Because it's your own fears.
It's self-generated.
Exactly, right? But when you actually look at something that's scary, your brain like, first of all, we've been like cave people. So we've overcome a lot to get here. So there's like not much I don't think that we can't overcome now.
Yeah.
Damn, that was it, bro. You touch a hot truth, bro.
Yeah, bro, that's some shit right there, dude. And it's crazy because I think I felt it, or like whenever we've been doing some trainings, and it's like whenever you have like control of like the attention of people, it's like the ability for you to like look stupid or like not know what you're talking about, or just reap negative social consequences, like just projected in your own mind. And like, I guess, like, so we've been presenting to like our teammates and doing these trainings for the last like week and a half, 2 weeks. And like on day one, it was like the nerves. And then like on day two, I felt the same nerves, but I was able to use like past reference of I was able to get through that and it's going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? But the anxiety is still always there. I just got like, it like went down. I guess the anxiety itself like got smaller and smaller the more and more I had more proof and evidence of like, oh no, you're going to be fine.
That's fine.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. And so I think it's natural, or it's always going to be there. Like if you're taking a test, or if you're applying for a job,
or if you're going to ask that girl out. Bro. Those things are anxiety inducing.
Yes. It can go terribly.
Yeah, for sure.
Awful.
It could go. Yeah, it could be miserable. That's crazy. But there's the thing where once like you have done it a couple times or you've seen like outcomes that didn't end terribly, or you can kind of like lean, it just goes away naturally. It's subconsciously, like your subconscious projects positive outcomes.
Yeah, and I think part of what you just spoke on is like the I think necessarily you need to attempt, because sometimes the anxiety is so crippling that you won't even attempt, and then the anxiety will stay that big and maybe get even a little bit larger.
Yeah.
If you don't do the attempt, but if you attempt and then you see what happens, it's like, oh, it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as I thought.
And
like that in itself is enough to make it shrink a little bit.
Facts. I didn't die.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're like, okay, well, I asked that girl
cool.
out and she said no, but like I didn't fucking explode. I didn't piss myself. Like I was okay with that. No.
Oh, okay, cool, fine. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Not bad.
So that's tight. That's definitely part of it, that even just attempts.
The attempts.
And just knowing, okay, I can make an attempt and not like the world doesn't end. That's good, because sometimes, have you ever like been in a moment and you're like, okay, well that didn't go well, but if I would have like kind of phrased it more like this, or if I would have kind of like gone about it maybe more this way, I think it would have gone well. And like that, not just with asking out with girls, but just like anything. I feel like sometimes you just like, you see, okay, well next time I'll talk to that person more like this, and I think they'll be more receptive to it, like because I can see where my error was. But you would never have, then you might actually have success, but you need to attempt to like feel, oh, I was one off. Like I didn't make it, but it was just one off. The same thing with shooting. Like if you literally shoot a basketball and then you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly what I need to do next time. It's going to go in.
Yeah, recalibrate.
Yeah. Some kind of calibration for it.
Yeah. Man, it's crazy. We were talking about anxiety, talking about you need to get the attempt out there. And sometimes, the attempts will reduce the anxiety. And then if you can't even get into the attempting phase, then you need to like be reworking the mental, like the conversation with yourself to rationalize or talk through it, to encourage the attempt. And then the attempts will deplete the anxiety. And then it's just like a positive feedback loop of, I guess, figuring out how to deal with it properly, or like in a way that's conducive to growth, your own growth.
Yeah.
But man, it's a real thing.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of people that are like big on, if you won't fail, then like you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it, is like the taking away the anxiety of failure.
Yes.
And almost making it like a positive thing. Like you have to fail like 100 times in your life before you're going to be successful. So if you're not even like putting attempts up to get some of those failures, like you're fucking up.
You need to throw out the attempts, man. Throw out the attempts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think about whenever I'm like, dude, just go fuck up. Like to a degree, like go do your best, but like at least get this failure under your belt is better than like crippling anxiety.
Way better.
Right? So just go do your best. Better. Yeah.
Infinitely better.
And then maybe you'll figure out where the calibration is. It's like, okay, maybe that didn't go as I wanted to, but it's right here. I'm right there. I just got to like lock in, or I got to be a little more focused, or study this thing.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Do this a little bit more this way. Don't do that at all.
And then you'll get like some freaking, like you said, that positive feedback loop.
Yeah. And then before you know it, you'll be the person who handles anxiety, or the person who, is not afraid to fail.
I think that conversation's good, because some people would say, if you're having anxiety, like that's not very manly or like macho, and like you shouldn't, like almost like you don't, admitting it to yourself would be like not manly, that you're having testosterone or anxiety.
Yeah.
But like I think that we all have anxiety, and then we should.
Yes.
This is like,
that's just facts.
That's just facts, dude. This is how you would like weaponize your thoughts against that, so that you could like overcome it.
Yeah, it's like, I think Game of Thrones, it mentions that like in the very, very early seasons, it talks about just like I think it's Ned Stark talking to one of his sons, and he's talking about being brave, and he's like, were you afraid? Or they're talking about being afraid, but more or less they're just trying to say like, you can't be brave if you're not afraid. It's like, of course I'm afraid, but I'm gonna do it anyway, and that's what being brave is. Like people are like, oh, I have no fear. It's like, no, you're bullshitting. Like you need to have fear, and then you need to conquer it and like do the thing anyway.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what true bravery is.
That's hard.
It's not being not afraid. It's like, of course I'm afraid.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it right there.
Yeah, accept it. It's like, of course, fuck yeah. This is a lot. This is a lot to handle. This is hard. I'm gonna do it anyway.
That's gas.
That's gas.
That's what we're looking for. That's it, dude. Thanks for getting on the podcast and talking to us about that, because I think that's something like young men need to hear. So like referencing back to like a 23 or 24-year-old me, like there's times where I definitely just want to like bury those emotions. I guess honestly, I was more prone to just feeling my anxiety and kind of being open about it when I was younger. But then as I got older, maybe like 27, 28, I definitely felt like I wanted to bury those feelings and almost be like, no, I'm a machine. Like I need to be a machine. Like I'm going to go in, I'm going to do everything I can, try to have these perfect days so that I can like push all this down, and I can't show any weakness about it. But then the problem is like, if you get anxiety in that place, then it's like, how do you deal with it when you need to deal with it if you've been telling yourself that you don't have any for like a long time, you know? So then I was like, fuck, I need to like openly admit that I'm dealing with this, even if it's at the reduction of my own perceived like manliness,
gusto or whatever.
Yeah, hardness is like what I'd call it. Be like, I need to like take a step back and like really address this, because not addressing it's worse than addressing it. Like, it's perilous to be so reluctant to admit your own flaws to yourself. It's like you'll fuck yourself up. You should like need to address as much as we want to be like a perfect presentation of us. It's like need to be able to have open, honest conversations with yourself about what's going on here.
Yeah, for sure. Being open and honest with yourself about yourself.
It seems like simply put, like, yeah, of course you need to do that, right? But like we put things in boxes. I think especially young men will put things in boxes because the world, it does seem to want us to be to never show weakness. That like if you show weakness at work, you might not like rise up to the top of work, or like if you show weakness in your relationship, like your partner might like find that not desirable.
Yeah, I guess the idea of weakness is definitely like not desirable, because I guess the alternative is strength. It's like the strength is super desirable,
right? But that's not conducive. It's perilous to think like that, and not maybe present that as the ideal. Like you don't want to be weak, and I do want to be strong. But you're going to have to address some weaknesses within yourself, even if it requires seeing yourself as what you would perceive to be as less than for like whatever period of time. I think that's a higher ideal. That's a higher ideal.
Yeah, it's like, a higher, or one of the highest ideals is to have like strength, but an even higher elevated nuanced version of that is to like accept your weaknesses.
Yes. And like get them flourished out as much as you can. Like let's say you can only turn a -6 into a -3, but you need to get it to a -3, or like try to push it in that direction. Like try to overcome what you can and accept what you can, and then like weaponize it to a degree so it's at your advantage, not your disadvantage.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, man. Shit.
But the young bucks, you'll get more bucks if you're thinking like that.
More bucks.
Like people that can embrace what's going on. You just think of any athlete that like embraces their uniqueness or their difference, or like if someone only has speed, then you see them do things with speed that other people haven't done before, because it's like they needed to like almost and be ingenuitive with what they had so that they could make impact. And then you see someone like Percy Harvin or like Tyreek Hill. It's like that he's almost like setting the standard for like what I can do is like more important than being like Calvin Johnson or like a Megatron. But then you get like Wembanyama, it's like the opposite end of the spectrum. He's like, I'm gonna catch some alley-oops y'all have never seen before. Like this is my advantage right here. It's like a Space Jam arm.
Yeah.
But I think about also like John Stockton. Like he revolutionized like passing, and like Magic Johnson kind of revolutionized like vision, and like I don't know. There's just something to be said for like your skills and your traits, and like what your special like uniqueness brings to the table can like become something that changes the game that you're in. So even if like sometimes you have to, that's a weakness per se, is like John Stockton's not tall. It's like revolutionized passing in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? It's like it doesn't have to be something that takes away from your ultimate glory. It's going to be something, it's a constraint that creates that.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's fucking tight.
Yeah, it's like, I guess it also just makes sense that like if you're just a player that's just going to work on your best, only work on your best attributes, it's like no, the best players are the ones who work on their weaknesses. Like their best attributes are gonna max them out anyway. But like the people who like address their weaknesses, identify them, and then work at those weaknesses, like their left hand or that one particular jump move or dribble move or that one spot on the court that you always miss from. It's like they just harp on that. Like you'll be it makes sense obviously, but like it's hard to accept, identify, and like say that these are flaws. I accept these as flaws. I'm gonna work on these now instead of just never looking at them at all.
Yes,
it's like you'll be a better player.
Staying overall. In the other option is to like stay in your bag and stay in your lane with what you're good at. Mm-hmm. It's like not as full.
It's not as full. It's important, but it's not fully encompassing.
Yeah, with Kobe Bryant, to bring it back around, definitely seen videos where he talks about he was missing a lot of late game shots early in his career because his legs were dead. And then he was just like, when at a self-analysis point, I was like, I'm not in shape. Like my legs, my legs would give out in the fourth quarter. Like legitimately, I have to start like running and squatting like a lot more.
Yeah, it's like Kobe Bryant says, like, I'm not in shape. It's like, oh shit, am I in shape at all? What the fuck?
Right, that's crazy, right?
It takes a lot to say that. Yeah, at that level, especially.
Yeah, but then then that's part of what the Mamba mentality was. Is like get rid of my weaknesses. And then he conditioned himself to insane levels.
Yeah, work on that weakness.
And it got to a point where, how many fourth quarter shots did he make?
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Kobe time, baby. Fourth quarter.
So I don't think people necessarily think about the Mamba mentality as work on your weaknesses. But I think to really understand Kobe Bryant, I mean, I only take him in about 15, 20 seconds at a time on Instagram. But like the wider the scope of the things that he said that I process and understand, I feel like it kind of opens up more of like what he was about.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is like just trying to be the best you can be, being all you can be. Like really, and with like a lot of grit and a lot of passion and a lot of like, I don't know, it's like aggression. Intensity, yeah.
Yeah.
Like being willing to get upset with failure or your own shortcomings, or like when you're not willing, it's not that you have a shortcoming, but you're coming short on trying to fix that thing. Like your own tiredness or your own weak-willedness is like not allowing you to do the damn thing. I think that's kind of what the Mamba mentality in my mind represents, and what I think about when I think of him is like the extreme effort up here, like the mentality of like, I'm going to give it everything I've got. Because it's hard. It's hard to do your workout program for like all 30 days that you had charted it out. A lot of people like fall short. But I think that's kind of like the Kobe Bryant mentality is fighting your capacity to fall short for yourself and what you plan to do.
Yeah. That's hard.
Right? Yeah.
So that's what Kobe means to my dog over here. Let's go.
So that's why I like hanging out with Kobe. Like in my mind, when I'm driving to the gym at 2 a.m. to make sure I didn't miss my workout, that's when Kobe would be like, my dog, yes. Like, let's go.
Show up at all costs.
At all costs. Like, you'll be okay tomorrow. This is more important than how you feel tomorrow. Like the fact that you're willing to fight the thing that's trying to stop you from overcoming what you can overcome, more important than how you feel tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you have to develop that discernment between the voice that says, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or the voice that says like, no, you need to take tonight off because if you continue at this pace, you're going to hurt yourself.
Yep. I got to that point.
Yeah.
Where I felt like Kobe's spirit was like, now you overcame that thing to where you will hurt yourself. Like before, you couldn't work out hard enough to hurt yourself.
Don't worry.
You can go as hard, try all day and tomorrow. But like, I got to a point where it's like, okay, now I got to listen to.
You actually might hurt yourself if you keep going as hard as you can.
Yeah.
For as long as you're planning on going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you got to learn how to recover if you're going to be truly disciplined and like actually overcome the shortcomings. It's like I need to ice bath and stuff sometimes.
Yeah, I need to take the off days or the recovery days seriously. I need to stretch and foam roll and like actually like take care of my, like take a rest day, like do a rest day hard.
Yeah.
Bring some intensity to a rest day.
Yeah, because if I drink and play volleyball and then sober up.
Eat a whole bunch of shit.
Exactly.
Eat a whole bunch of greasy food.
There's a really easy way to have a rest day not be a rest day. And I go right back into the blender and then I fucked up, you know? It's almost as bad as taking a workout day off 6 months ago, or like the idea of what messing up my routine meant to me then versus what it can mean to you now. Like that thing continues to evolve.
Yeah.
But the Mamba state still attacks it at every place.
Every time. The meta philosophy of Kobe Bryant.
Yes.
Shout out Kobe. Episode 24, y'all. Get in there again.
Come on.
Keep going.
You got any dishes left? Do them all. Like do the whole basket of laundry.
Fold it. Fold it like you mean it.
Every rep.
Yeah.
So that's Kobe to me.
Mm-hmm.
And we were getting in there.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. Love that guy. Love me some basketball. Life is crazy, y'all. We just keep on moving on this earth, this giant rock in the space. We're just flying through it. Universe is expanding. Not sure what the hell that means exactly.
That's been true since I was a kid.
Yep, it's still expanding. It's kept on going. More planets and galaxies are being created as we speak.
I don't know how that works either.
I don't know, bro. I couldn't tell you, man. It's crazy. I've been seeing, I guess, oh yeah, my girlfriend told me about this crazy movie she saw a while ago, but it was about aliens and shit. And like, I've just been seeing a whole bunch of more alien shit on Netflix. It's so much more common now to see alien shit on Netflix or like in everyday conversation than like 15, 20 years ago. I feel like there wasn't that many, like, there was like Signs from like M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah. And that was an alien movie, but I need to watch it again. That was a good one. But it wasn't like so common that we have people or all these, I think it's called Unexplained on Netflix. A whole bunch of people have explained their encounters or shit that they've seen and things of that nature with regards to aliens. But yeah, she had mentioned that she saw a movie. God, I can't remember what it was called, but it was about this lady in Alaska who was, I believe, like a therapist or something along those lines. And she saw a recurring theme in a whole bunch of the patients that she was seeing in this Alaska city. And they were all like explaining the same thing about like they all had the same story about being abducted and like being like feeling this crazy anxiety and feeling like they're not safe and they're being watched. And it was a recurring theme between multiple patients. And then like I guess throughout the duration of the movie, it goes on to show that she gets, I think it's like based on a true story. I think this lady's still alive, but she like loses her daughter. Like her daughter gets abducted and like she gets like blamed for it to a degree at the end of the movie. And like aliens are just like fucking up the whole shit in Alaska. I'm not sure. It's like the fourth coming or something like the fourth. I don't know.
Yo,
some crazy movie like that. But she was like, "Nah, it was so scary that like made me cry. Like scariest movie I've ever seen in my life."
Whoa,
it's like aliens, man. Are they out there being expanded in this space? What the fuck?
I don't know.
In the universe?
I don't know. One time I saw two people in San Marcos standing next to each other that I felt like they were aliens. And it was such I know, right? I know, right?
What made you think that they were aliens?
This story drew out of me from what you said. Just okay. Like, so it's not a crazy segue, but I'm just thinking about like aliens actually being like, how would you, then in the sense of like, they felt like they were being watched or like they were at unease. Mm-hmm. Like I kind of like was just like glancing and then saw them next to me and it was like a boy and a girl. And like, I don't want to like, I mean, dude, okay, it's like, I'm just going to be honest with everybody, okay? At the peril of my own, what you think of me. But, like, they could have just been, like, ugly people to a degree. Because
it was boy and girl, like children, boy and girl? Or, like, teenagers?
It was weird. I'm telling, because they, like, presented almost as, like, boy and girl. Uh-huh. But I felt like they were, when you looked them in the face, they had to be, like, much older, like 30s, 35. And I'm, like, 23, 24 at the time. So, like, they're presented as younger than me, like, almost giving, like, what they're wearing and, like, the stylization of their clothes was giving, like, what my younger sister would wear. Not even what I would wear. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then, but then I look at them and they were, like, looked like 30, like, age, like 35, not quite 40 maybe, but, like.
Definitely older than college age kids.
Not all, because, I'm in a college town. So, like,
San Marcos.
I see them, like, all around me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so, like, the vibe was just instantly kind of like, but then my brain was like, saw, and then didn't want to stare because, again, I just thought maybe they were like, I don't know, like dealing with some kind of deformity, or they were like, because their faces weren't quite like, I'm telling you, they were like, man, I'm just going to go out here because I don't. Okay. They were like
Picasso,
like something like that, like off, like the structures of the face, like what should be a nose and what should be like cheekbones and stuff, like wasn't quite.
Their facial structure was just anomalistic
enough to where like it, when your brain sees something like beautiful, you're kind of like, oh. But then when I saw that, I was like, oh,
whoa.
Not in a rude way, right? Well, I was doing my best to be like polite. But then I was like at unease because I felt like they had perceived them, and then were now holding me in perception, and it just made me so uneasy. Like my stomach kind of dropped out, and I kind of like.
Where were you?
I was at an HEB. I'm just,
Like
the story makes more sense in like a square or like an outdoor eatery, right? But like, so I'm at an HB and I'm like, imagine me at the end of the register and I'm like picking. I think my sister is buying some stuff after I had bought stuff, so I'm like holding some bags and she's like cashing out with the person. So I'm at the end of the just holding my bags where the bag checker would be, and they're like at where the business center would be, like kind of in the middle of the store, in between me and the exit, but not in line, just like in front of the line with their profile facing towards and open towards the whole store, which is like bustling with college kids, right?
Yeah.
So when I tell you like these people like didn't they did. So then I'm like kind of addressing the fact that am I just freaking out over some like people that are kind of like maybe went through some shit, you know, went through a fire or something, I don't know. And I like look back at them again and they're just not, they just didn't feel like people, bro. They didn't feel like people. And I felt like as Grace was wrapping up, there was a part of my brain that definitely was like, I don't think they're just ugly. I think these are like aliens or this is some crazy shit, bro. And then
where'd that come from?
That's what came into my head was aliens, because it was like the only thing that would make sense of it. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then I get kind of freaked out because I'm like, yo, like if I'm trying to get out of here.
Go home.
Yeah. And my sister wraps up and I'm like, all right, let's go. But like that was one time where like I really felt like that feeling of like something's off here. Like this is not. Imagine if like there was a clone or something like that, or like a robot was like. I don't want to say the show and ruin it, but like a robot's pretending to be a person. Like, and then at some point you realize, oh, that's not a person. That's a fucking robot. Like the feeling of like, I felt that. It's.
Yeah, something inhuman, or not even inhuman. That sounds kind of off, but like, yeah, it's a social anomaly. You're like, what's this energy I'm feeling with these people? So or like if aliens were trying to come and like disguise themselves as humans, like that was like their best attempt.
Yeah, that's what I took away from that. Like I don't think I was tripping per se, but when I was like thinking about it later on, that was a possibility. I was like, they didn't quite have the facial stuff to create like a young person. So like that was their best attempt at a face, and it looked kind of like older, like aged skin would look, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, but then they had them dressed as like college kids more or less, because they were wearing like boyish and girlish clothing, but it was off. I was like, they didn't blend at all. It was like
fucking weird.
Fucking weird, bro. Like imagine like overalls and a striped shirt, like literally like a farm kid would be wearing. You know what I'm saying? Like and like a red hat, and I was just like, what is happening right here?
Weird,
fucking threw me, dude. Fucking threw me, dude. And
that's a lot.
So maybe they were like in a play or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like they could have been in costume, I guess. I'm trying to like rationalize it for everybody that like maybe one day we die and God's like there was never any aliens. You just saw some people and thought they were aliens at one time, and like you know, could be some shit, but they weren't. It was weird. And I think the feeling of aliens, I think that's the thing that we would sense. Or if AI started to take over, the thing we would sense is like this, I'm used to human contact. Like I know what that feels like. I have a thing for that. And this isn't that. And I'm trying to use that and it's off. And it's alarming in my system. It's like, fuck, dude.
Something's off here.
There's an imposter.
Yeah.
That's the feeling. When you've identified like someone is not who they claim to be. It's like, wait a minute, I'm being like lied to more or less. Like I'm giving you this, but it's not that.
Yeah, I'm trying to just accept you into my play as just extra. There's an extra cast member, but I'm like, wait, you're not just like an extra cast member. You got some different energy going on.
Yeah,
some weird shit. That's wild.
So aliens, you know, I never saw a ship or anything like that, but I do feel like if I ever did, if they were like, you saw aliens one time, I'd be like, I think I know when.
I know when.
I'm pretty sure I know when that happened.
I remember exactly when that could have been. Yeah, and I guess if you did, that you would feel it. You would feel something off if your social awareness is at least a decently high level. You're able to, and yeah, you're kind of aware of your normal surroundings at an HEB in a college town. You know, like you somewhat more or less know what to expect of what you're going to see and the energy you're going to feel.
Yeah,
you go there all the time.
Exactly. It should have been just another.
This HEB trip is different than all the other HEB trips I've done in the last month.
For real, seriously, so seriously. I don't know. And they were watching the whole store. I felt like there was like observation. They're like, this is where they buy their groceries.
Like, what are these humans doing here exactly?
They're getting sustenance. They just have these big buildings for sustenance.
Like, oh wow, this is wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And then Texas State's like a good demographic because it's one of the most diverse, biggest schools in Texas. And like they try to do that. Like they have like a lot of programs and stuff like that to like provide education to, especially like in education sectors. It seems like black communities or Latino communities are like at a disadvantage for like kids to get into like big universities. Like just statistics show that. So then Texas State's just really good about trying to be like inclusive and trying to like provide like scholarship money and really like get a wide demographic of people to be accepted and enrolled at Texas State. And because they did that, the reason why I know that fact is because we became a hot spot for a lot of restaurants that were trying to introduce into Texas because like the demographic for Texas State was a good demographic to project markets for like where their restaurant would be popular at because it was like we had such a wide demographic of students there, like male to female, old to old, like a lot of different races and ethnicities.
Yeah.
And so we would get dope shit like trying to think, like everything came at one point.
There was San Marcos is crazy full now with every kind of fast food and regular restaurant you could really even imagine.
Yeah, like Raising Cane's came, In-N-Out came, Pete Terry's came, Hawaiian Bros was lit. I think the places might still be there. And those places were like, you know what I'm saying? There wasn't that many options maybe 4 years before that.
Oh yeah.
It was like absolutely. Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah. They were trying to see a good sample size of humans.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Bring it back to the aliens. I feel like we were a great sample size.
Bro, man, could you imagine? I don't even fucking know, bro. What do they want?
What do they want?
What do they want? What do you want from me? Alien guy or girl? Whatever you identify as. What do you want from us?
What could it be?
What can we have to offer to you? God knows.
Science fiction writers would say there's some kind of element or some kind of
their consciousness, but they're conscious too. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. No, if they could harvest us for anything that would help their economy, they probably would. The same way we would.
The same way we do for cows
and oil and like everything. You know what I'm saying? If we can harvest it for profit, we do it. So that's that's a common trope in science fiction. Is like a scary reality would be if aliens were just harvesting us for their economy.
For some sort of benefit to them.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, I'm sure they have a different sort of monetary system. God knows if they have money. But
yeah, it's scarier to think about them being capitalist with us, but it could just be for their life force.
Some benefit somehow.
Something.
Like that Rick and Morty episode where they go like into the battery and like their whole existence is to charge his car battery.
That's crazy. It's that one's eluding me right now, but what happens? Like it's a whole world about charging a battery that's just...
Yeah, or it's like... They try, it's Rick, Morty, and Summer, they all go to a movie, and then they come out of the movie, and they go into Rick's ship, and they try to start it, but it doesn't start, and he's like, what the hell? And then he goes, and he's like, the battery's dead. And he's like, okay, we're going to go into the battery. And then Rick and Morty go into the battery, and then like in the battery is like a world. It's a whole world full of people, and then like he has them all doing these like flooble boxes or whatever the fuck he calls them, and like their flooble box is how they charge their own economy and they charge their own electricity, but like he just harnesses all that power that they're using on their manual floober boxes to like charge his car, but it doesn't work anymore. So then he goes back in there to see what's up, and then in that universe a scientist made another universe to charge that. He's like, yeah, no more flooble boxes, I made some people do their own little like squeeze squash things. So then he's like, oh, son of a bitch.
Yo, that's okay. I remember that episode now. That's hilarious. That's something like that. It's common sci-fi trope.
Yeah.
But I hope. Why do I hope that's not what's going on? I would feel like used to some degree.
Definitely.
Like all of my pain is for somebody else's benefit. But I mean, what other? If that's the paradigm we exist on, then like it's the paradigm we exist on. You can't really do anything about that.
I exist. I'm here.
Yeah.
I clocked into this existence thing. I'm not entirely sure why, but we're here. Or what's going on, but we're here.
It's true.
That's all I know for sure.
Yeah, aliens could be like non-threatening. Like you could just like assign aliens are true and then not be afraid of them. But it's like, what are they? They seem spooky. They seem scary. Like, what do you want? It's the question. It's always, why are you here?
Yeah.
If you're here to chill, if you want a vacation here, you guys don't get caught very often, you don't do like fuck shit, like it's probably cool, right? Can't really stop you. So
like, you just vanish into the fourth dimension.
Right.
or whatever the fuck, wherever you go, if they do have those crafts that are able to, because I guess, yeah, another scary thing, or it's somewhat scary because we've imagined and embellished them to be these super high in intellect. They have the capability to like warp gravity and have technology that we have zero idea how it works. We are nowhere near getting to that level of, I guess, well, I don't know, insofar as public knowledge goes.
Yeah,
exactly. We are nowhere near getting to like
hoverboards and shit.
Yeah, just whoop, like being able to completely submerge underwater with like an airplane. If you had an airplane that would just whoop, in and out of water like nothing, it's like, what?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they could just go from 0 to 1,000 and like stop with no momentum or no propulsion.
Yeah.
It's like we're not quite there yet. So it's kind of scary to have an entire food chain that we're on top of, but then to maybe have to consider, oh wait, we're not at the top of the food chain. There's something more advanced than we are. Yeah. We're kind of at that thing's will. The same way our livestock is at our will.
Yep.
That's kind of scary.
That's alarming. That's why I kind of don't want them to be real.
That's not cool.
Over everything. That's a tough thing to have to swallow.
Do they have humor? Do they have a sense of humor? Are we funny to them? Do they watch our TV shows?
It's got to be. I don't know. I think they don't get it. I think that would be.
Yeah, that'd probably be a lot of what it is.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are they doing? What the fuck are y'all doing?
I've watched this over and over, and I just can't understand why they spend their time around these boxes.
Weird people.
They've got all this. Yeah, there's no telling weird what creatures, they value.
Animals.
Like if aliens value like trees a lot because they don't have like nature anymore. Like, look at all this nature they have. They just don't even go into it. Or from like a barren moon or like whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a crazy rock.
Could be.
Yeah, God knows, man.
We have a good existence.
But the universe is expanding, and we all exist. That's happening. You're here. You're listening to this. You exist.
Yeah, I think. Okay. I think aliens are an inevitability because of the fact that we are humans on Earth. We don't know what's out there. We can't help but project that something might be out there because we don't know. It could be. We'd be stupid to think that nothing's out there. So,
silly.
So then aliens is like the word we use or the catchphrase we use just to address the fact that we don't know what else is going on.
Yeah, I think that's well said for sure.
So like aliens have to be a thing in culture. I think they'll always be in culture because we won't know, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. We don't know. No idea. Alien to us. Alien is like an idea.
That's why I've been talking about it forever.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense to me. It's because like it'll always. It's like any good, like joke or any good like riddle. It's because it's predicated. Maybe usually not always, right? I think if it's predicated on something that like people have to address in their everyday life. And they don't exactly know. Like you hear like a comedian do a joke about kids, and like you have kids, and like it kind of hits because there is that place in you where you deal with that thing. I think that's why aliens works is because we have a slot in ourselves, subconsciously or consciously, that deals with the thing that we don't really know what's going on.
The unknown things.
So then that's why it's always like, oh, well, let me listen to this because it's like some potential explanation of that thing that I still have as unknown in my system.
Yeah.
If you could shed some light on it, that'd be crazy.
That'd be nice.
Right.
Yeah. I think I saw something with just a little clip on Instagram with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I'm not sure who he was talking to, but he was talking to some lady. And they were just talking about the universe and space and aliens and whatnot. But the short little clip I saw was her explaining to him, like I guess metaphorically, if we could liken it to the amount of the universe that is out there, we can liken that to our oceans. It's like we've only taken like a 12-ounce glass out of the ocean, and we're like, anything in there? Nope. Okay. So it's like there's probably still something in there. There's a whole ocean to explore, and we've only gotten like a 12-ounce glass worth of universe explored. So like, God knows what the hell is really out there, and it's expanding.
We can't even tell.
It's got to be expanding at a rate faster than we can explore it, right?
Allegedly.
So we're never gonna know. We're never gonna know the depths, the lengths of what the universe is.
I think you're expanding at the rate of the universe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. No, but legitimately, I think like your consciousness, everyone's consciousness and your awareness and your like capacity for spirituality, all those things are expanding at the rate of the universe. I think that's like it's all expanding. Like we are matter. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but to address, is it expanding more than we could explore? It's like, I think when we go outside, we're exploring the universe. But at the same time, like literally exploring a spaceship, It's it's like tough because have you ever seen like there's a couple movies I can think of where they're trying to go somewhere very far in space, but like the problem is if you are on a spaceship for like, you know, if you go when you're 40 and you're on a spaceship for 60 years, like there's a cap because you'd like die in the spaceship. So there's only like 60 years of travel you could really ever do.
Yeah.
Except in some movies they have like cryogenic chambers. So they put people on these spaceships and then they like get into this chamber and it preserves them. But then the next constraint becomes, even though time is not passing on your physical body, it is passing for Earth and the people that sent you. So even like 60 years after you've been in a chamber, the people that sent you are dying.
Yeah.
So you'd have to set up some kind of structure that like the next person can come in and take that job and the program can keep going on to explore this spaceship while you're asleep for like 200 years. You need NASA to still be alive, like the United States to still be working. And that's a big leap. Like for us as humans, I don't know, what's the cap? How far could we really send a rocket before it wouldn't work out? And also there's like fucking asteroids and shit in space, I guess. I think kind of preventing us from really getting out there.
Yeah, asteroid fields.
Yeah.
That's a term I've heard.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
For sure. Yeah. Just like
flying rocks.
And shit just moves in gravity in space, which I think is really interesting because like unless you have a rocket on you, you can't really move because it's all like rocks, right? Rocks and planets and dead space. So like, but stuff does move in space, and it's all based around like Jupiter has a big ass gravitational pull. Yeah. So stuff is like going around Jupiter, but Jupiter's going around the sun, and it's just these like waves and currents of like motion. And rockets have to like propeller systems to like shoot through that shit. It's pretty cool. It's pretty crazy.
It's wild out here, y'all. What the hell?
That's what's going on out there. Like if we wanted to explore it, that's the road we'd have to drive on is stuff that's just gravity pulls.
Bro, what the hell, man? So crazy. So crazy.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever know.
Yeah, we can't know the full extent. Whenever we die, whenever we pass on, we'll know everything, I think.
Yeah, me too.
I think we'll be reintroduced into the everything.
I think that's in the Bible too. It's like that things become known to you, or not necessarily. I don't think it necessarily says like the way of God becomes known to you, but I definitely addressed to my dad that I have this sense that like when you get to heaven, there's like a massive like painting, but it's like different than any painting we've ever seen. Like stuff is like moving and like it's like layers, and you just like look at this painting, and then like after a while you just like get it. Like you have the understanding of the way of things. You're like, oh, I see now.
Doesn't it say all will be revealed?
Okay, I think that's probably my dad's like, yeah, it says that in like Paul or like whatever it was. You know,
I think that's the verbiage, something like that. I think that's true. I think we'll come back into the understanding of everything. It's like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, that'll be so nice.
I get everything. I understand it all.
And then I think the next thing is, well, damn, I want to run it back.
Yeah, I wish I could go to not understanding it all because that's existence.
And I think that's how we end up back here. Potentially. I don't know how it all works.
I can't. Don't quote me on that. These are just theories.
But I had that sense since I was a kid. I was like, I think as soon as you are out of the game, as much as being in the game is, it's just like football, bro. As much as hard as it is, and as much as it hurts when you get hit, as soon as you get on the sideline, you're like, fuck. I want to be back out there.
I want to run it back.
I want to be right back out there, dude. No place I'd like. As soon as you're not, and then I think that's when like the rocks cry out, or like angels, or like anything that would be like behind a veil of existence that it's out there somewhere. I think that those things, they love life. Like whenever you see someone like kind of hating their life a little bit, or really frustrated with existence, or being like so angry that they're like kind of like fuck this, or like I hate this, the spirits all around me are like no, like it's because it's so sacred. Like what we have in this moment, just like the breath in our lungs, is so sacred that it's like your existence is, everything around you is like propelling you forward and just wants like to be joyous with you, with your existence. So as soon as we pop out, it's like all the people in the game, anyone like have an attitude in the game or like not trying their hardest, you're just like, bro, you're in the paint right now. Like
you're in the cut.
For real.
Existing, you get to exist, man.
Some people,
I feel that.
When people say you should have gratitude when you're like feeling sad, that's really tough for me. Or like if I'm having a bad day and someone's like, you should be grateful that, you know, you you have got like a good job and you're in a great community and
you're healthy,
you have access to water,
you're not broken,
all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, but I'm having like a bad day. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not saying I take those things for granted, but like, to a degree, I'm accustomed to that lifestyle because I've been here for a while. And within the custom of that, it's hard for me to just be like, you know what, my day's not bad anymore because I do have water right here. Like, to a degree, I'm used to having water. I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, but what I'm saying is like, that's a natural conflict for me if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's like the same way that we block out our nose, you know what I'm saying, from our field of vision. Like, you can always see your nose. Your nose is always in front of your eyes, but like you literally just blank it out because you see it all the time.
Until right now. Now you're like,
it's like, oh, my nose is always right there, you motherfucker.
Right under my eyes. What's under you?
Yeah. Man, but yeah, I think we do that. We do that. We kind of have to. Kind of back to what we were talking about earlier about like, it's because there's so much information out there to process. We have to kind of block out or make some of the information that's coming in irrelevant, so we can be more attuned to all the other information to see what's really important. It's like, if everything's important, it's like, oh my God, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So yes, sometimes like taking a step backward to be grateful for water. It's like, yes, but like that doesn't alleviate tension inside of me. It doesn't. But when I think about the spirits around me being like, dude, you're alive. Like, when I'm grateful for the breath in my lungs, that takes away the tension of whatever bad day I'm having per se. But it's not the material stuff around me. I don't know exactly why there's a disconnect there, but just sometimes, because that's a common, thing people say, to have gratitude when you're like feeling upset about something. It's like to be grateful, and kind of like removes those things. And I'm like trying to find proper application of that process, and sometimes it's just tough. Like even when I'm sure like a wealthy person can relate to having a bad day, and then somebody's like, well, at least you're not broke. It's like,
that does not make my day any less worse.
No, it's like it almost makes me angry that's anytime I have bad feelings, I'm supposed to be like, well, at least I got all this stuff around me, like, but then just like being alive, that's the thing.
Yeah, maybe not finding gratitude for any specific thing in the Matrix, but like just being grateful for the Matrix, your experience of the Matrix at all.
Yeah,
it's like, at least I'm playing the game. At least I'm in the game.
Yes, and bad times don't last. Like, and life's so sweet all the time. So like, I could just like I could like zone out for a week or two. Not like zone out, but like just allow myself to have whatever shit's going on, and then like 3 or 4 or 5 weeks later, I'm gonna be right back in the cut with the butter.
Yeah, with the butter.
But yeah, life's sweet like that.
Yeah, I think that the ability to do that takes a certain, like, not skill level, but it takes a certain amount of skill to be able to have that self-talk, or be able to like stop things. It's like I know there's a lot of things going on right now, but it's like, be still with me right here for a second. Be in the cut. Be in the eye of the hurricane with me for a second, and just appreciate the hurricane.
Yeah, that's gas.
It takes skill.
It is hard to
pull
yourself out of the
because
it's like in a war's going on. If you've seen a war movie, and the guy's like, "Hey!" He like grabs him and shakes him. He's like, "Oh." It's like, we gotta do this and this and this, and then they go start doing that shit. Yeah. It's like, I have to do that to myself. Be like, stop, bro.
Wake up! Wake up! I'm here.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm in.
But for me, I think that's another thing that I learned from like Kobe Bryant, or I think about like tennis players, like Rafael Nadal came to mind. It's like, you gotta like talk to yourself. You gotta really like, I think in tennis, there's a book I read that really made it apparent to me that your subconscious is like its own thing to a degree. So in tennis players are like super prone to like yelling at themselves or like getting frustrated because it's just a solo sport.
It's just you on you.
Yeah.
Who else can you blame? There's no teammates. There's no coach.
Sometimes you have a coach, but even your coach will only tell you so much.
Yeah, it's like there's no plays you're running. It's just like, hit the ball, bro.
And usually coach tells you exactly what you're doing wrong. It's like, you don't have follow through today. If you follow through, it'll fix it. But then you got to go back out for another 30 minutes and figure out, why don't I have follow through today? What does that look like? How do I make an adjustment? And then like when you just start failing, or when you're failing, it's just you failing.
Yeah.
And then so tennis players will be like really rough with themselves a lot, or like get frustrated, break rackets, like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
All that shit. But there's a book out that was like trying to tell tennis players that your subconscious like listens to you.
Who wrote it? Is it a tennis player?
I don't know. I think it's a scientist.
Oh, okay.
But like it got picked up. It got picked up in the tennis community. And basically the thesis was like your subconscious listens to you. So over like 30 days, if you have like 20 negative interactions with yourself, you only
negative.
Yeah, you only had 5 positive interactions with yourself. That relationship's so disrupted that even when you're winning and things are going well, like it's likely that you have a disconnect between what you want you to do and like how you're performing. So you kind of have to like coach yourself along and be like nice to yourself. And like it's just like any relationship, when someone's like not performing well, you have to like be hard on them and like, but also like keep them lifted up. Yeah, so that you can like have that good relationship. And that was the first time that became like on my mind, where I was like, okay, I can't be like screaming at myself here. Even when I'm frustrated, I got to have some kind of different talk, because what my inclination is just to get frustrated and talk shit to myself. But if instead, I had to figure out something else to do. And that's kind of what started like self-talk for me. It was like, you're good, bro. Like I don't know why we're nervous today, but like, you're good. This is what we do. Like, even if you fuck up all your first serves this game, like for science sake, I don't care. Just like be loose. Don't like, let's make a different mistake. We're playing tight and we're getting frustrated. We can't hit it perfectly. Like just do something different right here. And then I'm kind of doing science with what works with myself, you know?
Yeah.
And I figure out how hard I can push myself and like sometimes if I don't push myself, I'll not respect myself for not pushing myself. Like, no, we could have gone harder there. We let the foot off the gas and we had 2 more minutes of good work we could have done. So then if I don't do that next time, myself's like, hey, why aren't you taking me to that limit? Come on. Or like I can feel there's a relationship there.
Yeah.
There's not 2 voices talking to each other, but you can sense it a little bit.
For sure. Yeah, that's crazy. That's self-talk. Super wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. It's your thoughts, you know?
Before you had a big game, would you, like in your basketball days, big game, you're on the starting unit, it's like you're rocking. What are you talking to yourself before the game? Where's your head at?
I don't know. I guess what I try to do, I would try to be more quiet. I think that was also our coach's style as well, which is kind of funny because we had one player on our team who like that was not his style at all. Like he like, because I guess to answer your question directly, my pregame was more, I would just, I guess, in the locker room where my headspace was I was just trying to focus and not think. Really, I was trying to not think as much. Just be here, just like just breathe, get ready. It's like getting ready. Just like get ready. Like I wasn't trying to think about too much or like prepare in my mind or like run simulations. I was just like thinking about not thinking.
That's how you get ready.
Yeah, I was like, be still. Just be still.
That's funny because coaches say like, get ready. Everybody get ready. In 5 minutes, get ready.
Yeah.
Right? And then, but get ready to you meant doing less.
Yeah.
Like taking off thoughts, taking off feelings. Some people here get ready, they start jumping up and down.
Exactly.
They put their headphones on. That was me. I put a lot of headphones on and I'd kind of zone out. Or I'd have self-talk. That's kind of why I wanted to ask you this question, is because I'd start like giving myself like goodbyes almost. You know what I'm saying?
Goodbyes?
Like kind of like I was about to leave and go out the door. I'd be like, all right, I love you, bro. Like you're good. We're going to do this damn thing today. Like today we're going to separate ourselves. Like we're going to show some people some shit today. Like on everything, we're going to show some people some shit today. And then like even right now, I just felt myself get a little bit of chills. And when I get those chills, I'm like, all right, fuck yeah. Yes, I am. Like I am going to show some people some shit today. And like that was cool. Me getting ready was like a little bit self-talk there. Yeah. But I play better when there's something about being unconscious, about not feeling anything, where I think you perform really high.
Yeah, so remove some of the over analytics, because you could overanalyze to death sometimes.
Yes,
I'm very analytical.
Really?
So it's like just kind of just don't think as much. You need to be present. Don't think as much. But it's funny because that was kind of our coach's mentality as well. Or like he would try to instill within the locker room stillness and like be more quiet before the game. But we had one player in particular where that was not his style. He would put his headphones on. He'd be like literally like jumping around and dancing and shit. And coach was like, okay, like you can do that, but like do it outside of the locker room. Cause like I'm trying to get these guys like in their zone through this means. But he was like, he was like backwards to a degree in that sense, but it was cool. It worked. It was awesome.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I guess everyone does have their own, I guess, what does it mean when you say get ready?
Yeah.
How do you get ready?
I don't know. I definitely want to drop some of those endorphins. Like I kind of just did right now. Like I want to like get the adrenaline in myself going through like yeah, telling myself like it's go time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Music helps a lot with that too, because I can kind of draw a state out of me depending on what song I play.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a lot of what music is, right? Is it's a mood.
Big
So
time.
then,
It's a vibe.
yeah. So that I'd put on that like that vibe where sometimes I was telling myself at football when I was at my peak, what I was telling myself was like, there was a song, it was called Monster. I think not by Kanye. It was like a rock song.
Okay.
And it just went off. And I would tell myself like, okay, we're gonna draw. You have to be willing to run like full speed into someone's face and not care. Like I'm gonna need you to pull something out of you right now. That's like okay with that, bro. Like you are going to go inflict pain, and if we get the pain inflicted, we'll deal with that later. But for right now, it's everything you got. Like, okay, so I had to talk about it to realize what I was doing was I was removing the fear limiters. The parts of me that would be like afraid to
get hit.
Yeah, I was
the natural inclination to not want to get hit.
I had to take some time to remove the like the governors in myself that would allow me to rev it all the way up and really go get myself fucked up, you know? But when I was doing that, I was playing football really well because this is kind of tying back to injury is like when you have fear of where you're going to land, I think that creates more injury sometimes than if you were to like just be your fully athletic self. So sometimes someone gets injured and then they're kind of like hesitant at that point to really
many times.
Right. I think that thing causes more injury than once you get mentally healthy and you're back to just like playing without that concern in the back of your head. That's how your body's supposed to do. That's what the functionality is built for. It's for like true jumps and true landings. But when you start like trying to protect yourself, just like with the too many ankle braces, it's like overprotection of yourself creates more injury long term. And then I think I see like, you know, there's times where we're 2 or 3 years rumbling, working out every day, doing really good and like knock on wood, but you know, we're not getting sick. We're not getting injured. We're kind of in a state where we've like pushed past the protection level and embraced the germs in the world to a degree. Like my immune system's really built up.
Yeah, because, that analogy.
Right? Yeah. There's something to be said for that.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So then removing the fear capacitors that stopped me from just being fully all out energy allowed me to be like a better football player. And I think less likely to get hurt because it's like shying away from contact isn't always the right thing to do. It's like, you know, like take things head on. When you take things head on, you usually like no one gets hurt sometimes.
Yeah, I think that was one of our coaches' things when I guess in regards to like taking a charge, he's like, don't shy away from it. Like take it square in the chest. Like for one, it's like the actual official call that they have to get for you, but then also it's safer. It's safer. Like take it straight in the chest and then put your knees up and don't let them fall on you. That's crazy. That's it.
See,
because you fall all backwards and shit, you might tweak something or you might fall something on the wrong way.
There's something to be said
if you take it right in the chest, you'll be fine. And it's a good charge, dog.
It set the gym off.
Yeah. Set off everybody. If you don't take it in the chest or you shy away from it, it's like, oh, incorrect. And one.
Yeah. Oh, that's the worst, dude. The worst. Your coach is pissed you had bad form. You just got, you know, trucked basically, and they got an extra point out of it. The gym's going off in the other direction. That's life. Life is swings.
That's life. Take it in the chest.
Let's go. That's gas.
That's gas.
Some good shit, dude.
Hell yeah. I love it.
It's a good ass episode, man.
Fuck yeah, but do you want to wrap her up?
Yeah, I think there was just something to be said for the ways that we get ready. Personally, I think it's like a nice yin yang. It's like I think you should clear your head. Sometimes when I'm playing my best, whether it's at, you know, my profession or my vocation or my hobby, is when I'm feeling unconscious. Like someone will be like, "You're on fire." I'm like, "I can't feel shit."
Just stone face.
But like I've hit like 3 or 4 threes, and so like it kind of almost makes no sense for me to be like, "Yeah, I can't feel shit right now." But like in my own mind, I'm like, "Good, stay here."
Like I'm so in the zone right now, bro. I don't know anything else but the zone.
That's it. I'm like unconscious. My name's Matthew and a ball. That's all I got. We burned everything else.
Nothing else exists.
And but that's a good place to be because there's something about I'm more likely to make the next shot. But when you ride the roller coaster of the emotions, I think sometimes you get too high or you get too low, and it makes your likelihood to make the next shot a little bit lower. But if I'm bang, 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 and I make no change, it's likely to just be bang. So that I think that's a great way to get ready, is to clear yourself of, like, almost like a meditate, like get rid of your emotions for a second and get rid of your thoughts, and just to be unconscious, like to not feel anything, to not feel the emotions of the game, and to not feel what the crowd's feeling. It's like, I'm just feeling my state of neutrality, my state of task. I am the task. That's
execute,
it.
Execute.
That's it. Dude. Yes. And I think that sometimes to overcome like whatever barriers are in the way from you being at that execute place, I think you got to talk to yourself a little bit, and like for me, like motivate myself or inspire myself.
That's a big part of it. I love that part of it, or that aspect is super important. That the stillness is definitely what I would lean towards for sure. But I think that the fire and the intensity needs to, then the passion, all that needs to come out as well.
Yeah.
The integration of those things is like beautiful.
That's it. And I think Kobe, you've seen both sides of him, right? The still Kobe, just still face.
Just still face, bro. Hitting, just burying fourth quarter shots and just no emotions.
Yeah. Some of that in my life's nice. You've also seen that version of him too. Mm-hmm. And champion, you know?
Yeah. I love that shit.
Let's go. But for the people, you know, I know sometimes we're two guys talking about sports, but I think there's something to be said for trying to figure out how you get inspired by someone like Kobe Bryant, and allowing that to, because I think it's bigger than sports. We all have things we're trying to achieve, and like pushes or places that we're pushed into like naturally by our own life forces. Like,
things you're supposed to be the champion of. Yeah.
I don't think it's wrong to say that you are supposed to try to be your best at something. And if you succeeded at what you were supposed to try to do, it would look like you being a champion of something. And so to some degree, I think Kobe's important to everybody, despite what you're doing, or
regardless of what you think about sports.
Yeah, regardless, the what he represents is like useful and impactful. And I would love to share that with you anytime, guys, especially on episode 24.
On 24, like Kobe did. Put in that work, y'all. Keep fighting the good fight.
Don't stop.
Don't stop. We're rooting for you.
You can do another day.
Another one. One more day. Just one more day.
Come on.
You got it.
I love you guys.
Love y'all. Peace.
Bye.
Rolling through the city to the light show. Really ain't no telling where we might